Hi, Sean Visintainer here from the Silver Bow Fly Shop in Spokane, Washington. Recently I had a good friend of mine ask me, how do I attach braided loop material to fly lines? Well, I figured I could make him a quick short video that would help him and everyone else out that has this same question. Stay tuned and we'll get going in just a second. Let's begin with our braided loop connection here. First, I'm going to remove the little plastic sleeve that comes with this braided loop. These sleeves are okay. They're usually installed onto the loop by the manufacturer, and they're designed to hold or secure the end of the braided loop against the fly line, either by heating up that plastic wrap so it shrinks against the fly line and the braided loop, or you can add a drop of Zappa gap to the end here and then slide the end of the sleeve over that braided loop so the ends don't get frayed and fall apart. However, I don't feel that they're necessary, so I'm going to just pull that piece off and discard of it. I feel that there's a better way to secure this braided loop on there that's more permanent so that your braided loop never falls off. So now I just have a chunk of fly line here, and this works for fly lines or sink tip material. Whatever you need to add a loop to, this will work just fine. This fly line here, I'm going to start by actually taking and beveling a little angle on that fly line so my loop is my braided connection is easier to slide onto that fly line. So first I insert the tip of that fly line into the braided loop sleeve. I'm just going to keep working it in, and then eventually I'm going to have to kind of push. It's going to be a combination of pushing and compressing that braided sleeve material, pinching the tip of the fly line, and then smoothing out the rest of that braided sleeve material. So again, keep this pinched right here, grab a chunk of the braided sleeve, compress it, pinch the fly line, and then smooth out the rest of that material, and keep working or inching that fly line into the braided sleeve with that kind of that compress, pinch, and slide technique like that. As you get to the end of the connection, you'll eventually kind of butt up against the loop that's been created. You can see right here, this is where the loop has actually been pulled back through the braided connection. So I'm now going to tuck that fly line in there just a little bit further, just so it's a little bit smoother connection. I don't want to have any gaps as where that braided loop has been pulled back through and ends and where the fly line starts. I want to kind of overlap those two as best I can. That looks pretty good. Now this is going to get a little trickier here, but again, this is the most secure way to rig these braided loops in my opinion. I'm going to take some tippet here. I'm going to use a darker tippet material just so you can see it when it's finally done. I would recommend anything 10 to 15 pound test tippet. And what we're going to do with this is we're actually going to tie a nail knot with this tippet right on the end here. We're going to put one right here, and we're going to put one right there. And those two nail knots right there are actually going to secure the end of that braided loop sleeve down so that braided loop can't be pulled off. Now, it's stuck in there pretty good as it is already, but you don't want to run the risk of that sleeve getting knocked off, so you do have to secure the end of it. So let's go ahead and grab our nail knot tool. If you're not familiar with a nail knot tool, I would highly suggest practicing it, but I'm just going to place some tippet on top of the thumb tab there, hook it in the notch, and I'm going to wrap back towards my thumb, about 5 consecutive wraps. And I'm going to tuck the mono back through, and then I'm going to tuck my braided loop in between all those wraps. I'm going to keep sliding it until it gets towards the end or close to the end. I'm going to do the first one, the one that's furthest away from the tip of the braided sleeve here, and I'm going to slide those wraps of mono off onto the braided sleeve and the fly line. I'm going to kind of cinch it all up. going to slide it down now into place. You only need to cover the last couple pieces there, so you don't need to have a huge gap in this, because you actually want most of that braided sleeve undisturbed. That way that braided sleeve will tighten into that fly line as pressure is being applied and your line is being pulled out. That braided sleeve will actually bite into that fly line harder. So I don't want to actually do anything to this. A lot of people will glue the connection here, which actually prohibits that kind of that Chinese finger torture method from actually working. So I've tied one nail knot. I'm going to secure it. So I'm going to cinch it up nice and tight. I'm going to go in, trim out the excess fairly close. I'm going to do it one more time now. So 2 nail knots right on that braided loop. So again, hook it in the notch. Now you can, if you want, what might be easier is actually laying that braided sleeve into the knot tool just like that, and then tying your knot instead of trying to thread your loop through there after you've already done your wraps. You can actually just lay it in there and then wrap over it. You might find that that's a little easier than trying to thread it through. This is fun trying to tie this in front of a camera with the camera in front of you. Slide that. I'm gonna see how I pulled it back closer to that knot. Give yourself a little wiggle room there. You don't want to accidentally ruin all your hard work by accidentally missing the sleeve connection there. All right, so everything looks nice and tidy. I'm going to tighten that up. Looks good. I'm going to go through with my nippers. I'm going to trim off the monofilament. I'm just going to go through and kind of trim up all the little fuzzy fibers now. Nice and close. That way it's a nice smooth connection going through the guides. Alright, that looks good enough for video work here. Alright, you can see I've got that braided loop connected through that, or slid through over that fly line. 2 nail knots of 10 to 15 pound tippet, and should be pretty secure. Fairly easy way to attach a braided loop.